Well, yesterday, Fletcher Cox broke down exactly what went wrong with the Eagles this season and gave his thoughts on what Jalen Hurts needs to improve on in 2024. Philly's hired a new linebacker coach with zero ties to Vic Fangio. It's his free agent connections, though, that have me pretty darn excited. And Jason Kelce, he was in Vegas last night, and he won pretty big. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Now, I've seen the new Vegas Sphere in person, and honestly, it's pretty cool, but man, did it look even better last night when it started rolling through the Super Bowl rings and eventually landed on, how about the Birds ring from 2017? Gosh, that thing is just absolutely perfect. All in all, I think the Vegas Super Bowl Sphere experiment has been pretty darn good for Super Bowl 58. Just don't try and climb the sphere like this guy apparently did yesterday. Instead, if you're in Vegas, as people do, you should walk past a blackjack table and play a few hands, maybe with these guys. Is that Baker Mayfield watching, Taylor Lewan, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, and yes, how about Jason Kelce, who apparently hit on a blackjack hand and seemed to enjoy the results.
7. Okay, 10. Come on. Happy 8.
Super Bowl week, though, reminds me of my favorite Super Bowl stat, like the one thing that I keep going back to, and it's the fact that the highest graded Super Bowl quarterback since 2006, it's our own Nicky Six. How about his 92.3 quarterback rating in a game where he absolutely carved up the vaunted Bill Belichick defense in what was easily, come on, the greatest moment of all of our lives? I still can't get over what Foles was able to do, how elite he absolutely looked during what was essentially a 2-game stretch in the NFC title game and then the Super Bowl where he was the best quarterback on the field. Oh, and by the way, the second highest graded quarterback since 2006 in a Super Bowl? Yeah, you guessed it, it's Jalen Hurts. And oh man, I just hate watching the highlights of this one. One stop away, and Jalen has a ring. He outplayed the greatest quarterback possibly of all time in Patrick Mahomes, and there are zero questions about his abilities going into 2024, regardless of how the season actually turned out. We were 1 or 2 stops away. Drop a like down below if you're like me, and all you want with the rest of your life is for Jalen Hurts to get a ring. Like, that's all I care about is Jalen Hurts getting a ring, proving the doubters wrong. Now, very quickly, I want to give a huge shout out to the 1,000+ of you guys, my subscribers, who went to my brand new NFL channel called Your Daily Football and hit that sub button. Watch the first show. Show number 2 is now live. It'll be linked down below me in the description box and in the pinned comment as well. If you don't know what it is, it's a brand new channel, my second channel that I'm starting, still focusing on the Eagles, but I wanted an NFL-specific one where I can go through all the latest NFL news in 10 minutes or less. Haven't checked it out? Go down below right now. Now, some crazy news that dropped just a couple of minutes ago is Brian Johnson. He actually got a new job. He's going to be on the offensive coaching staff for the Washington Commanders this year, and some sort of assistant or analyst, or I guess whatever Washington wants to call it. Now, the Commanders obviously have a brand new head coach in Dan Quinn, new offensive coordinator in Kliff Kingsbury, but now Brian Johnson gets to play the Eagles twice a year. I can't wait for those 2 games, and I can't wait to see what the Commander offense looks like. Hopefully, Brian can implement some of our favorite wide receiver screens, zero motion, and pass plays that basically do nothing and help the quarterback in zero way. Again, I don't know how much of a fault Brian Johnson was this season, but still, I'm happy he's no longer in Philadelphia, and honestly, I'm even happier he's going to be in the NFC East so we can see him twice a year. Now, Super Bowl week obviously isn't just about blackjack or the Vegas Sphere or just remembering the good old days. Players are paid by their sponsors, let's be honest here, to flock to Vegas and jump on some interviews and talk about what happened in the previous season, and that doesn't exclude Eagle players. How about Fletcher Cox and former Eagle Super Champion Torrey Smith, both on the K. Adams Show, talking about the Eagles' late season collapse.
You really can't put your finger on what happened, right? You know, things started to go wrong.
That's true.
You know, things started to go wrong, and then it just like kind of dominoed, you know. And let's be honest, like, you know, I just spoke about it. You know, we really all year we willed our way to win games, and you know, when we was willing our way to win those games, you know, in the back of my head, I'm like, man, like if we're finding ways to win these tough games, like somewhere down the season, they're gonna be a break where we can be up by, you know, 14, 17 points with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. But it didn't go that way this year. You know, last year we were blowing teams out. Let's be honest. You know, on defense, you know, we were getting turnovers. You know, that's something that, you know, I think that we didn't do a really good job as a defense this year, was getting turnovers and giving our offense, you know, those extra possessions. And that, you know, obviously, you know, that's the thing. But you know, you really can't put your hand on what went wrong. We just know like it all went wrong. There was no like locker room issues. Everybody loved each other, but it was just, you know, I don't know.
And we keep getting this answer. It's so interesting that last week on the same show, you had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, something we talked about, both kind of just glossed over the whole, what went wrong in Philadelphia? Why did you guys screw things up? How do you lose 7 of the last 8 games? They just kind of go, ran out of time, or, we didn't play too well. And K's trying to get it out of him. He's like, no, tell me what went wrong. And no one seems to want to, which I guess on one hand could be a good thing. Maybe they just simply didn't play well and there was no internal strife or turmoil, or they're just trying to defend the actual culprits, probably the coaching staff, because they don't want to throw people under the bus. Either way, I wish somebody would give us just a little bit more details on what went wrong this past season. Now, of course, Fletcher Cox was also asked about the chances of returning to Philadelphia, in which he said,
the future of the Fletcher Cox with the Eagles is...
Day by day. We're going to take it day by day.
Dang it. Show us
So the future with me is, just day by day. Nothing I've thought about, but... just taking it day by day and see where I am.
Perhaps the most interesting thing that Fletcher Cox told Kay Adams was his response to the question about Jalen Hurts' struggles in 2023.
I think Jalen played good. Obviously, we got to look at, at a couple of things where, Jalen is still a young quarterback. I think that was his 3rd year, like being a full-time starter.
Wild.
You got to look at those type of things. And, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, he just got paid like this, that, and the third. But, he's still in the learning phase also. I remember going into my 3rd year or as a starter, it's still got that learning curve where, you still got to learn, so many things and
right.
so much. But, as a quarterback, it's got to be hard. I think it's 3 or 4 times, the pressure that I have on me as a defensive lineman because, I can make a mistake and it won't get noticed until the film turn on Monday, but he can make a mistake and the whole world can see it. But, you got to, I respect Jalen as a person, as a leader, and, and the biggest thing is, you get the same guy every day.
Now, I love this. Like, he's 100% right. 1, Jalen Hurts is fantastic, but 2, Jalen Hurts is not free of blame. But it's very interesting that people forget it's only year 3. He's going into year 4 of being the full-time starter in Philadelphia, and he still has a ton to learn. I know he balled out last season and should have won a Super Bowl and should have won NFL MVP. Doesn't mean that he's ready to rock in terms of he's perfect and won't have any issues going forward. He's not Patrick Mahomes' level just yet. He needs a little bit more time to learn, and if there was ever an offseason where he could really dive into what went wrong last year, and hopefully the addition of Kellen Moore's offense mixed in on that, they can get Jalen Hurts back to MVP level in 2024. And like I said, this new offense with Kellen Moore should go a long way in helping Hurts be put in the correct position, given the right plays, and be given the best opportunity to win. I do think that Tom Brady was right 2 days ago in what is a fascinating interview clip where he was asked by Steve Young on SiriusXM, what's the big problem with young quarterbacks today? Listen to this.
The only problem I see in today's quarterbacking, a lot of it is the coaches trying to play chess, but the quarterbacks aren't. The quarterbacks are snapping the ball, and then they're going, okay, how do I react to what happened? And a lot of the times, there's no perfect play that can be called from the sideline on a consistent basis because they're just calling probabilities. Okay, there's a probability on 3rd down. In short, they're going to play man-to-man coverage. So therefore, on my call sheet, I'm going to call my man-to-man beaters. Oh, they didn't call man-to-man. Looks like, a simple cover 2 zone. This play isn't really working for that. Okay, in my mind, it would be like, okay, let me get to my best cover 2 play against this look, as opposed to now we get the ball. Okay, we've got a bunch of crossing routes into cover 2. That's not good. Let me hold the ball and go run it. And then people on TV go, oh, great play, way to run. And in my mind, I'm going, why did you snap the ball? I mean, you clearly knew no one's going to be open because, I don't know, in all my years of playing in 20 years, that wasn't going to be open. But how do we continue to say, all right, quarterbacks, you got to see the whole picture.
Now, we don't know how much Jalen was audibling at the line this past season, how much we didn't like what Brian Johnson was calling, how much of the issues were him changing the plays or just running Johnson's plays and not really working out. But Brady makes a really good point. Regardless of how great Kellen Moore is going to be, and I think he's going to be very, very impactful and Hurts' growth and development this season, Jalen still has to get to the point where he can read defenses a little bit better pre-snap and make sure Philadelphia's in the right plays, and that way they can be a little bit more successful. Now, last night, Philadelphia added a new member to their coaching staff as they signed former Titans linebacker coach Bobby King to join Vic Fangio and this new, hopefully much better defense in 2024. Now, King is not a Fangio disciple, but has worked with some really good young linebackers during his tenure in Tennessee, including, how about soon-to-be free agent Azeez Al-Shire, who, as you see here, is only 26 years old, had 163 tackles in Tennessee over the past 2 seasons, and clearly should be a solid free agent target for Howie Roseman if he wants to go after a linebacker this offseason. Now, interesting enough, King also coached Eagles linebacker Zach Cunningham in Tennessee 2 seasons ago, leading me to believe that there's a good chance Cunningham could be back in Eagles green on maybe a 1-year team-friendly deal next year. Although, despite Nakobe Dean coming back and Zach Cunningham possibly staying, I agree with Philly Voice when they said yesterday that the Eagles putting all their eggs in the Nakobe Dean basket once again in 2024 and surrounding with a bunch of players that other teams don't want, like they did last offseason, will not be acceptable this year. Howie, we're begging you, we're imploring you. I know you don't think linebacker is that important. I know you basically never put a lot of effort or a lot of time or a lot of money into the linebacker spot. This is the year to change that. This is the year to just try it. That's all we're asking. Just try. Have 2 very good, 2 great, maybe just even competent linebackers in Philadelphia under Fangio's scheme, and let's see what happens. If we still stink, then you're right. You can focus on defensive linemen and cornerbacks and get more offensive linemen in the draft. That's fine. Give it one chance, though. Please, one chance to have a great linebacking core. You were basically had it in 2022, and then you didn't re-sign either of your 2 good starting linebackers. This is the year to make good on what's been a real issue for Roseman basically his entire time as GM. Now, when I emphasize that after the Super Bowl, things are going to really start picking up, especially with free agency, I'm not joking. As soon as we get out of February and face towards the new league year starting in early March, free agent signings, cap changes, contract restructuring, trades, it's going to go absolutely insane. If you're not subbed to this channel, 41,000 of you guys, getting close to 42,000, go hit that red subscribe button down below and get locked in for what's going to be the best offseason coverage for your Philadelphia Eagles of any channel, any place, any radio station that is absolutely out there. That's my guarantee to you. I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out on a Thursday. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.